What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we have another TV series, docu-series trailer review to do today. As you all know, I love true crime. It's one of my favorite genres. And I even consider, and we've talked about this before, or at least I've mentioned it before, where I do believe true crime, serial killer type content can have its place under the horror umbrella. So that's why I discuss it. Even if it didn't fall under horror overall, if it was literally the argument was made and I agreed with it that true crime is its own thing, we would still cover it here. It's one of those topics where whether it's horror, true crime, serial killers, you know, that type of stuff, I feel like the channel is accepting of that genre here, even though the vast majority of what we cover here and talk about is horror TV series, horror movies, things of that nature. But true crime, especially docu-series, I tend to really gravitate towards and love watching, especially when they're not just reenactments, when they're actually true. You get to see true real life news coverage footage, police interviews, police footage as well. I think it just adds a bit more to how real some of these things actually were, and for those who lived through it, who experienced it, especially when a lot of these things, many people weren't, you know, nowadays many people probably weren't born when these situations were taking place. And here we have another one. We did talk about one earlier this week, which is also coming to, I think it was I think it's Peacock. Peacock is doing a John Wayne Gacy 6 or 8 episode series. It's a limited series run. We did do the trailer review on that. I do already have my bones to pick on that one. Go watch the trailer review video on that we did. The one thing I will say where I'm hesitant on, and I will harp on this up until I watch the series and see maybe if it was just for the advertisement, but on the poster for that particular series and in the trailer, they show the crawl space underneath the house to be in the middle of the hallway of the home. That's not where the crawl space was that John Wayne Gacy was using to get the bodies of his victims underneath his house to try to bury them and dispose of them. The crawl space was actually in like a little like cupboard, a hallway closet, and it was very small. It's not how it's being depicted in the poster or the series where they showed it briefly at the end of the trailer. So all that to say is I'm wondering how much they're going to, let's say, Hollywood up that series versus how much is actually staying true to what has happened. And if you want to see that exactly where that crawl space was, how big it was, we're gonna, as we get into this, there's actually another series that's already been done that is part of this overall Netflix series. It's the Conversations with a Killer series. They've already done one with John Wayne Gacy. It's Conversations with a Killer, the John Wayne Gacy tapes. They've done the Ted Bundy tapes and the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. Now here, as you see, Conversation with the Killer, the Son of Sam tapes trailer, true crime docu-series drops this month on Netflix. Now, obviously, this is not to be confused with the other docu-series that's on Netflix, and it's been out there for a little bit, which is also on the Son of Sam. It's called The Son of Sam, A Descent into Darkness. That I would highly, highly recommend. Go watch it. It's not that long of a series. It's only 4 episodes. Each one of them is an hour long. And again, if you like true crime and you like this particular topic, I think you will be highly interested in that. It's very much using real life interviews, press conferences, all that type of stuff. So highly recommend checking that one out ahead of this one. But also recommend checking out the other ones I mentioned around Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer. All very, very well done docuseries. And in my opinion, I think that's something Netflix does very well, is their documentaries and their docuseries. So let's jump into this one. Let's read the article details, then we're going to jump over to the trailer. As you see, it's just starting off with it. After tackling Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer, the latest installment in the Conversation with a Killer true crime docuseries focuses one of the greatest manhunts in New York City history. Directed by Joe Berlinger, Conversations with a Killer, the Son of Sam tapes will premiere July 30th on Netflix. I've already added it to my queue, or already added a notification reminder, so I know exactly, in case I lose track of this one, I'll get a reminder letting me know it's released. The 3-part series takes viewers inside the NYPD's desperate race to catch the infamous .44 caliber killer and into the disturbing mind of David Berkowitz himself. Newly unearthed recordings offer rare insight into his twisted psyche, revealing what was going through his mind as he unleashed a reign of terror in the late 1970s alongside first-hand accounts from cops, journalists, and survivors. The series unpacks how fear spread through the streets, fueled by cryptic letters, a frenzied press, and a killer who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Quote, at the heart of Conversations with a Killer lies a commitment to unraveling the complex minds of notorious criminals while providing a space for those closest to the crimes to find closure, said Berlinger. With the Son of Sam tapes, we delve into the world of David Berkowitz and his chilling influence on the 1970s New York City. Now, if I remember correctly, Son of Sam, he was blaming it. He was also indicating that I think it was one of his neighbor's dogs was talking to him or telling him to do this. If I remember correctly, I think it was this guy that was claiming that. It's been a while since I've watched the Descent into Darkness documentary, but I believe this is the same guy. These rare tapes reveal unnerving insights into the psyche, shedding light on the intricate details of the case and the pervasive fear that gripped the city. Through these tapes, we hope to not only revisit history, but to bring clarity and depth to a narrative that has long intrigued, unsettled the public. All right, we have the trailer, we have the poster. Pretty typical poster, but I do like how clean it is for a docuseries. I would just move the text around a little bit, get rid of this top portion, but otherwise it's a nice clean poster. So, all right, let's jump over to this trailer and see how they're going to present this one to us.
It was the summer of '77. We parked the car in Lover's Lane. We're talking, and then all of a sudden, we were shot.
People just think I was a bad man, totally out of contact with reality, which wasn't the case. But I've always had a wild imagination.
The Son of Sam Killer was a dangerous wild card.
The city was in a frenzy of fear.
I'm afraid to be in this neighborhood.
Young people in pairs are getting shot.
People have not gone out of their houses.
Our jaws dropped. He's warning us he's going to do it again.
There weren't crazy letters. The letters were to spur the police on.
He's taunting the police. He's taunting all of New York. Try to catch me if you can.
Berkowitz says, I guess the press is waiting with their cameras. Can you comb my hair? He's going to serve a life sentence in jail. He's worried about his hair.
As a prison reporter, I wanted to understand how a human mind spirals out of control.
I didn't really belong in the world. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be needed by somebody. And became angry. It's just built up. It's like a volcano erupting. That was me.
He could always fool people with his face and his smile. It hid the inner demons.
I was out every night like clockwork committing my crimes. And I'd get up and go to work like nothing ever happened.
It's been nearly 50 years since this happened. More things are coming out now.
A new development absolutely blew me away.
I see him now, those blue eyes are shining. 47 years later, it's still right here for all of us.
I had so much anger that one attack against society wasn't going to extinguish it. A feeling of power. I just needed to do it.
Yes, this looks pretty on par for what they've presented to us with the other three that are in this overall series. Now, I will say, it's been a while since I've seen those as well. I don't recall too many reenactments taking place in those other ones. Now, this one does appear they're going to have some reenactments. We saw that play out right at the beginning of the trailer. But we do also, pretty obvious, it's called the Son of Sam tapes. We actually are hearing him. The talkover is actually him in some of the trailer, which I think is going to be very interesting because I think the most interesting of the other 3 series, I'd say it's a pretty close tie between the John Wayne Gacy tapes and the Ted Bundy tapes. The Jeffrey Dahmer tapes docuseries, it was okay. It wasn't, I would say, of the 3 that are already out there, is probably the least in-depth. I'd say the Ted Bundy one probably has to be the most in-depth. I think the Ted Bundy one was 4 episodes. The Jeffrey Dahmer, I think, was much shorter. It was only 3 episodes. And then the John Wayne Gacy was also only 3 episodes. So I do think that the John Wayne Gacy, though, had a lot more real life news, like press conference, news reporters there at the house. And then we actually got to see some of the police officer footage from going into the house. And they even have footage showing underneath the house, the crawl space where he put the bodies. So I'm wondering how much of this Son of Sam's tapes is how different it's going to compare to the one called A Descent into Darkness that Netflix has already done. But according to the article, though, go back to it. It did state that there was going to be newly unearthed recordings offer rare insight. So that might be, the recordings they're referring to might be the talk over, like the interviews that he did while he was in prison. Maybe that's what they're talking about, because I don't recall too much of him talking or any interviews of him in the Descent into Darkness documentary that Netflix had already previously done. So anyways, that's going to do it for this quick trailer review reaction for Conversations with a Killer, the Son of Sam tapes, the next entry to the Conversation with the Killer Netflix docuseries. Again, they've already done Ted Bundy's, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer. I would highly recommend checking those out. And as it relates to the Son of Sam, Netflix has already done a documentary called The Son of Sam, A Descent into Darkness. And Netflix also did, as part of that one, it's kind of, I don't know if it's part of the same series, but there's one called Night Stalker, The Hunt for a Serial Killer. This was the Night Stalker, the killer that took place in California. And they've also recently done one, while we're on the topic, this is the Zodiac Speaking, which was that one's only 3 episodes as well. I believe that one released late last year. Highly recommend checking that one out as well. It was a great docuseries. So again, if you have Netflix, I would highly recommend watching all those. You'll be able to breeze through them pretty quickly, because I feel it's like one of it's those types of docuseries that once you start watching, you get hooked and you really want to see, even though we know how everything plays out. But just the amount of detail they get into in these episodes, I think is pretty fantastic. So anyways, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Make sure to hit that like button. And as always, it is free to subscribe. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you at the next one. Later.